I'm a big believer of like, make more money, create the life that you want to live, do all that stuff. I'm not a big believer in cutting to get where you want to go. However, I am a big believer of the statement that anything we measure improves, right? Like, so if we know what our inflows are, this kind of is a stack on top of the first one, where we need to run our life like a business because we need to have this P&L statement. Well, the next thing to enhance and improve that P&L statement is having this budget, because anything we measure is going to improve. We're going to look at our budget. We're going to then, if we're really intentional about it, we're going to be able to look at this and we're going to be able to prioritize and look at these things. I'm not saying cut out going to dinner, a couple times a week. I'm not saying stop going to the movies. I'm not saying, stop taking those vacations. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is look at your budget, sit down with your spouse, sit down with your partner, sit down with whoever you're involved in this strategy with, because it could be a business, it could be your personal life too, if we're talking about like just really creating a budget, because a business needs this as well. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, we're gonna be talking about the 3 reasons I see people struggling with their money. And this is really, I think, as I've gone through and had literally over 1,000 conversations with people about money, financial efficiency, reaching financial objectives, different financial strategies, whether it's investing in stocks or whether it's investing in real estate or building a business as an entrepreneur, network marketing, all over the map. I've done tons of coaching with people, tons of consulting with entrepreneurs on the marketing side of the business. It's all a matter of making sure that you have a strategic plan in place and that you understand what you need to be focusing on to get the results that you're after. And so I've broken that down into the most common 3 reasons that I find myself telling people on a constant basis, and that's what we're gonna get into now. So let's go. So the top reason number 1, if you're struggling with your money, is because of the fact that you're not running your personal financial life like you would a business. And maybe you're not even running your business the way you should be running your business. So what I mean by this is that when we need to stop looking at income as income and lifestyle as just like whimsically throwing money around. We need to think about our life like a business, and we need to look at our income as revenue and our expenses as overhead. If you think about it with any business, what we do is we have a monthly P&L statement, profit and loss statement. And we can look at that statement, and that statement is going to tell us on a cash flow basis, how are we doing? That is going to take into consideration all of our debts, all of our interest expenses, all of our overhead, our fixed costs, our variable costs. You can start to get a picture of what your life looks like. And if you're thinking about, I need to keep positive monthly cash flow on a monthly basis, that's going to help you get where you want to go. Now, we have to manage our money, and we have to manage our cash flow effectively if we want to implement any sort of positive financial strategy that's going to help us get closer to our goals. And that is the top reason that I find people are struggling, is they're not running their life like a business. They're not thinking about their personal finances as if were running a business. And I think, if people could just wrap their heads emotionally around that, because it's hard. I know that when we're starting to look at different things, I'm a big believer in the statement that people make decisions emotionally and then they validate those decisions with logic. Most of the time, people have this confirmation bias kind of thing, where they buy a car, they buy a boat, they do something foolish with their money that has a negative impact to their monthly P&L statement, right? And then they validate all these different reasons. Whereas if we would just delay gratification a little bit and look at building our life like we would look at building a business, because when we build a business, what do? We have to grind it out. I've bootstrapped nearly 10 businesses at this point in time, where we built them up with very little resources on the front end. I'm really big on not taking a lot of my own resources and putting them into the business until I know that business is going to work, right? And so, but what do? You trade sweat equity for building that business. And it's no different. You're grinding out that business to get it to grow. And so it's the same thing. I'm a big believer. And so I guess I should have put this as the preface. I'm a big believer that the old methodology of buying and holding investments is kind of a broken mindset, and that we need to be investing for cash flow. And so that, in alignment with looking at a P&L statement, makes us think about cash flow. And from that perspective, if I know we need to grind out a strategy where we're delaying gratification, nobody wants to delay gratification for 30, 40, 45 years. Nobody wants to do that, right? Myself included. But on the other hand, if you knew you could delay gratification, implement a strategy, run your life like a business, delay that gratification, put money aside, implement a plan that improved your cash flow, and you could compound the cash flow, and instead of thinking about getting to $3 or $4 million for retirement to reach your goals, you could get to $10 or $12 or $15,000 a month in cash flow. Now your mind can wrap around the idea of $10,000 to $15,000 a month because you've held $10,000 to $15,000, right? You've seen $10,000 or $15,000 in your bank account. So the idea subconsciously of $10,000 to $15,000, that's a real number to you. If you've never had $3 or $4 million in your bank account, in your possession, in your control, it's going to be really hard for your subconscious mind to wrap around emotionally going after that $4 million. Like it's just going to be hard for you to do. Your belief, your self-belief in your ability to actually execute and pull off accumulating that kind of money, it's going to be a challenging task for you to overcome subconsciously. And I think that's one of the big reasons that people struggle and fail with their money. But with that said, I believe if you do this and you focus on the cash flow and you focus on running your life like a business, you can accomplish your financial goals in 10 to 15 years at the most. And I think most people would be willing to delay gratification a little bit, delay getting that boat, delay getting that car, delay doing all these different things. Not all of them, but some of them, you could get there. Now that leads me into number two reason number two why people struggle with their money is they don't have a budget. And I'm not talking about a budget. I'm not a big believer in scarcity. I'm a big believer of make more money, create the life that you want to live, do all that stuff. I'm not a big believer in cutting to get where you want to go. However, I am a big believer of the statement that anything we measure improves, right? So if we know what our inflows are, this kind of is a stack on top of the first one where we need to run our life like a business because we need to have this P&L statement. Well, the next thing to enhance and improve that P&L statement is having this budget, because anything we measure is going to improve. We're going to look at our budget. We're going to then, if we're really intentional about it, we're going to be able to look at this and we're going to be able to prioritize and look at these things. I'm not saying cut out going to dinner, a couple times a week. I'm not saying stop going to the movies. I'm not saying, stop taking those vacations. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is look at your budget, sit down with your spouse, sit down with your partner, sit down with whoever you're involved in this strategy with, because it could be a business, it could be your personal life too, if we're talking about just really creating a budget, because a business needs this as well. Sit down with them and figure out what are the priorities. Is what we're currently doing in alignment with our goals and objectives, with our values, right? Is this what our financial life looks like? Every single month, is what we're doing in alignment with getting us where we say we want to go? Because if it's not, you need to make a change, because what happens is you can't, once again, it comes back to your subconscious. You can't trick your subconscious. By the way, there's a great book called The Ant and the Elephant by Vincent Pacenti. It is an amazing book. It's this little fable. It's a quick read. It's really easy, but it talks about how you cannot overcome your subconscious. If your subconscious doesn't believe that you're going to be successful, you're going to have a hard time pushing through that. And that psychology works into this. And so my encouragement to you is understanding what you measure is going to improve, and making sure that whatever your money is going into, that you're intentional about where that money's going, and that that money is in alignment with your values, your goals, and objectives. And if it is, good for you. And by the way, you're never going to be perfect with this. I'm not perfect with this. Nobody's perfect with this. But you want to look at it as best as possible, because we all kind of lose money, bleed money, leak money out of our financial lives unnecessarily. or maybe just kind of emotionally, and we just need to make sure we can minimize that as much as possible to get where we want to go. So then number 3 is really, once again, I'm going to stack it on top of that one, that people are struggling with their money is because of the fact that you are not really clear on your goals and objectives. You're not clear on when you want to retire. You're not clear on what you're willing to do to get there. You're not clear on what your life looks like once you get there. You haven't created and cast the vision for what that life looks like, right? And so if you don't live by your design plan, you're going to live by somebody else's plan, right? And that's just been proven time and again psychologically with people in studies. Listen, if you don't live by a plan of design for you, you're going to live according to somebody else's plan, and that is unfortunately why we have so many problems in this country, in this world, with people kind of being sheep and just following along. And what happens is, what they don't realize is they're basically just following people to financial catastrophe. And it's one of the reasons why there's such bad financial literacy and stewardship in this world, is because people just kind of follow the masses, and unfortunately the masses are failing. So if you want to be successful, you need to find the people that live the life that you want to live and then emulate what they're doing till you have what they have, right? And so when it comes from that perspective, like I said in Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you got to begin with the end in mind, reverse engineer a plan to get there. Well, you got to think about, be really intentional, have a vision for what that end is for you. What is that goal? What is the objective? What do you want your life to look like when you get there? Only then can you start building a plan to get there. And as you do, now you got to make sure you have a budget so you can measure and everything is in alignment. And then it goes back to making sure that on a monthly basis, you are running your life like a business. You have a P&L statement, and you are executing the plan in alignment with your values, in alignment with everything that you want to accomplish. And life gets much better from there. So if you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. If you want to talk to somebody, a coach that can help you kind of reach out and reach those objectives, make sure you go down in the link below. There's a link to set up a free clarity call with one of my certified Life 180 coaches. And that's it. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell. That way you get notified every time I launch a new video. And until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.